Hey, welcome back to Shadow Shorts. If we've never met before, my name is Jeff Echols. I'm a senior advisor and the head of marketing for Shadow Partners. And every weekday, I try to bring you a short conversation with an expert, a thought leader in the field of innovation for the built environment. And today is no different. I am joined today by Will Mitchell. He's a CEO at Rabbet. Before we went live backstage, we were talking about Colorado and coffee and beer and chicken. So we've had a great conversation so far that you haven't heard, but today we're going to talk about construction financing. So, Will, thank you for joining me today. Thanks for the pre-conversation. I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to this conversation as well.
excited to be here, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely great to have you here. So, I know for Rabbit, you produced the 2023 State of Construction Finance report. What can you tell me about that? First of all, maybe why create a report like that, and then maybe what did you learn from it?
Yeah, we started doing this report, 5 years ago as a way to quantify, the impact that technology can have on the construction space. And so we do two reports a year. One's the state of construction finance, the other's the construction payments report that we do in the fall. And these two reports really are the basis on how we're measuring success for Rabbit. How is this industry as a whole getting better? My background was as a real estate developer, licensed general contractor, degrees in architecture and structural engineering. I absolutely love this space, and really getting good information as to how the space is improving, how it's evolving, and specifically and how it relates to technology has been a big focus for us. And the 2023 State of Construction Finance report was no different.
Was there anything that surprised you about what you found as you were developing the report?
So, we've done this report, as I said, for 5 years. And so it was really interesting in 2020 as, COVID impacted and all the things, and then coming out of COVID in 2021, and, the relationship between lenders and developers and how both sides kind of view the construction finance process. And so we survey both sides when we put this report together, and then try to look for consistencies or discrepancies both with previous reports or with the uh, two sides of the space, seeing differences. And the one thing that we confirmed in the report, I don't know if I would say is as much of a surprise, but in the current environment where getting new loans and doing new deals is a little bit more difficult than it's been in years past, a lot of firms on both sides of the market are taking the time to invest in process improvements and operations. So busy for the last 10 years, this market's a great time to have your team work on getting better as a team and not as focused on doing deals. And the report really supported that information with 64% of the respondents saying that they are adopting software to stay ahead in 2023.
Oh, that's super interesting. This report that we're talking about is the 2023 State of Construction Finance Report. If you'd like to get a hold of it, I've put the URL for the Rabbit website down the bottom left corner of your screen right now, rabbit.com. And you think woodworking, not little furry things. Um, and right at the top of the website, there's a sort of a bar at the top, and there's a place where you can get that report from Rabbit. So as you're thinking about those tools and thinking about that increased use of software by by different firms, I know one of the tenets of your business is not only transparency but also leadership in the space. So
Yeah.
how does that play in when you think about your day to day and doing business? How does that then tie to what you were just saying about the report, more people using software?
Yeah, so a big part of the report is understanding where there potentially are those discrepancies, as I mentioned a minute ago. And part of the discrepancy is just perception of information transfer between organizations. And so, a developer thinks that they've, done a complete or, project, report, and the lender thinks it's insufficient. And so, how do we get people more and more on the same page? And one way to do that is standardizing the information that's being transferred. And so, the AIA has introduced some great forms, for the standardization of transfer of, information like the G702 and the G703. How do you introduce the same level of guidance and standardization and auditable logs into the entire development management process that gives people more confidence, more consistency, and therefore more efficiency, right? When things are different, it just takes a little more time to manage, to understand, to get up to speed on. And so, as an organization and through the report, we look at ways that you can start to provide guidance to the industry to provide better standardization and consistency of information that can benefit both sides.
Yeah. We were talking about this before we went live, but I think, we're talking about AIA contract documents as the standardization as a method or a tool for standardization. I never thought about it that way, as you were talking about it, but it truly
Mhm.
is. Maybe that was innovation back when they first rolled out the
It certainly
contract
was,
docs.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, um, AIA has that, and it's, as you said, it's pretty much industry standard. Not everybody's using them, but a lot of people are. I teach them in my pro practice classes that I teach. Um, then tools like Rabbit, and certainly there are others out there, but taking things to the next step in terms of sharing, in terms of standardization, bringing technology into the scope of all of this uh, interaction, I guess, and project management. What do you see looking forward? You know, whether it's Rabbit or it's another software that's out there, what's the future of automating? If we've gone from the documents to the online documents to softwares like yours and others, what's the future of these types of tools for whether it's automation or standardization of construction finance?
Yeah, so the primary evolution internally for an organization is these ability to connect systems through APIs so that information is more in sync, it's more real time, it's less manual. The problem that still remains is that information transfer externally is still very manual. If you're transferring information between an organization, it almost is only in three formats. It's in a email, an Excel, or a PDF. Like in general, information transfer between organizations is still extremely rudimentary, has not been evolved. And so the next evolution is creating abilities to transfer standardized information across a network that allows for everyone to benefit. So whatever your opinion of Visa or kind of this, but the ability that they did to create a standard transfer protocol for payments, right, and these coming together of all those financial institutions to build Visa, that this kind of leadership has allowed for payment transfer and efficiency in the payment system. The same level of efficiency can be achieved in construction finance through agreements across the industry of how and what information needs to be transferred in a way that benefits everyone involved.
Is the benefit simply in the efficiency of communication, or does it I don't know if rise to the level is the right way to say it, but does it also extend to um, things like profitability or something like that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, our other report each year is the payments report, and our construction payments report quantifies the cost of slow payments in the U.S. construction industry at about $208 billion a year. So we literally put a number on this inefficient transfer of information between organizations, and that even if you just paid contractors net 30, we're not talking about same day payments, we're not even talking about same week payments. We're just talking about same month payments. Like there's all this like push payment stuff at the Fed level. Just same month payments would eliminate $208 billion of costs in the US construction industry. And that's the main thing that we're trying to help solve here.
$208 billion problem seems to be worth solving.
I,
That's a big
for
number.
an industry I love, the thought that that much each year is lost just in the US alone is disappointing.
Yeah, yeah, that's really amazing. So if you didn't think that efficiency in financing had much impact, 208 billion reasons why you're wrong, I guess.
Right,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. So tell me a little bit more. I, I like the idea of solving the $208 billion problem. I like the standardization, the systems, et cetera. But as I was researching this a little bit and learning more, um, I came across the page on your website where you've got the tenets or the keys to your business, the transparency, et cetera. Tell me more about how you do business.
Yeah, so our four values, transparency, relationships, guidance, and efficiency, really are at the heart of everything we do. Transparency, first and foremost, is, how we lead the company, how we lead with our team, but also, how we feel about the industry as a whole. And historically, there was this belief of kind of hiding information or information asymmetry that we really don't believe is in the best interest for everyone involved. And so this idea of transparency actually benefits the industry as a whole, and we want to be a good citizen of the community, encourage our customers to do the same. And then relationships, this one somewhat goes without saying, real estate, if as much as any industry I'm aware of, like just it's so based on relationships. Like you don't get it done without a great architect, a great general contractor, a good relationship with the city. Like the relationships are so key, and that's really one thing that we're trying to strengthen through this woodworking giant. And then efficiency, and this idea of removing costs. And then lastly, guidance. We already talked about a lot about how our reports and our kind of, institutionalization of best practices can be a benefit for everyone as a whole. And so how do we guide the industry forward as a benefit for everyone involved?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And so if you're out there watching this either live right now or in some sort of time shifted version of it, again,
Yeah.
go to rabbet.com, rabbet.com. You can get your hands on the 2023 construction finance report, and then the construction payments reports coming out later this year. So heads up on that. And I think again that $208 billion number is sticking in my head right now. That one
Yeah.
surprised me a little bit. So it really seems worthwhile to have these conversations
Mhm.
and look for these tools, utilize these tools. And I would also say if you're out there and you say, hey, this is a really great conversation. I'd like to know more about construction financing. I'd like to know more about the impact of of standardization of software, all of these things that I'm talking with Will about. Um, Consider the fact that in October 24th through 26th of this year in Atlanta, we're going to host our seventh annual Shadow Summit. And Shadow Summit is our own little purposefully cozy conference. About 200 people is where we will cap it. And we have these types of conversations, but we go even deeper. Will and I have just been here 10 or 15 minutes at this point. We'll have whole conversations about construction finance and other topics relating to innovation in the built environment. Our CEO, KP Reddy, has described it as everything that's happened in 2023 in terms of innovation for the built environment and everything you need to prepare for, budget for, allow for in 2024. So that's what Shadow Summit is. It'll be a great time. You'll leave exhausted because your brain will be working so hard and absorbing so much information, like conversations like this, going deep, deep, deep into how do we do this? How do we automate construction financing? the state of construction financing, et cetera, and beyond. Real estate construction, design, architecture, engineering, all types of topics will be covered in October in Atlanta at Shadow Summit. You can go to shadowsummit.com for more information on that. To sign up, apply for a ticket there. So, with that, Will, I really appreciate this conversation. I've learned a lot in just this short amount of time. I'm sure everybody else did, and this is really good. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me, Jeff, and look forward to seeing you in October in Atlanta.
Absolutely, or maybe in Denver or Dillon or somewhere
Come on
before then.
by. Come on by.
Sounds good. We have to do that. All right. Thanks, Will. Thanks, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow with the next Shadow Short, another 10-minute, 15-minute conversation with another expert and or thought leader around innovation for the built environment. See you tomorrow, everybody. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff.